Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's Miss Sinclair. It's Friday, March 5th. This is going to be a review day today, so there's not a new lesson. We are going to put some notes in our composition books today, just to carry on and go over the lessons that we did this week. So go ahead and grab your composition book. I'm going to get this started. There will be a quiz next Friday, which will be March 12th. So you're going to want these notes. And at any time during the video, if I'm going too fast, you can just pause the video and then come back to that. One of the things we did talk about this week was the distributive property. And for those of you that were in class, we had everybody stand up in front of the room and held up these signs with numbers on them, and then we just kept rearranging everything. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and do a quick review. So let me get a couple of things pulled up here. All right, so first of all, A times the quantity B plus C. And then we talked about the fact that it's A times everything inside. So it's A times B plus A times C. Now we're going to do a few of those with numbers in them just to make sure we give you an idea about, what exactly we're talking about. So let's do this one. 7 times the quantity 5A plus B. Okay? So we're going to go 7 times the first term. So 7 times 5 times A. We're going to multiply the numbers together and then multiply the letter on there. We're going to copy down my addition sign, and then we're going to go 7 times the second term, which is 7 times B. And I think if you recall, we've done some of those problems this week. It's a couple of days ago, I think Wednesday. All right, so let's take we'll practice a couple more of those. 6 times the quantity 10M plus 6N. And again, it's 6 times everything inside. So it's going to be 6 times this one first. 6 times 10 is 60M. And there's my plus sign. And then we're going to go 6 times 6 times N. So 6 times 6 would be 36. And then we add times N. Hopefully you kind of remember that. You're like, oh yeah, I remember doing these things. All right, and let's do one more. Let's do 11 times 5W plus 3Y. Okay, it's 11 times everything inside. So we're going to do 11 times this first. 55W. Then put in our plus sign, and then 11 times 3y, so 33y. Okay, so that's the distributive property, and there will be problems like this on the quiz, so I'll give you this part, and I'll say, okay, give me that part. All right, so it's going to look like this. And then the other thing we did this week was we talked about factoring. And that's when we did the opposite kind of thing. So let me show you what I mean when I say the opposite. So we're going to start on this side and create this, and then we're going to have to take it apart and rewrite it over here. So let me give this to you. Right here, let's go with 24A plus 4B. Now this was when we looked at these two terms and we said, is there anything they both have that we could divide out? So we always look at the letters first because that's really easy to do that. But in this case, the letters are not the same, so we have to look at the numbers. We're going to say, what can 24 and 4 both be divided by? The largest possible number that they can both be divided by is 4. So the 4 is going to be now on the outside of the parentheses. And we're going to divide a 4 out of everything over here. So remember, fractions are division problems. So how many 4s are in 24? Put the A on there and the plus sign. And 4/4, we know that equals 1 whole. So it's going to look like that. So basically, instead of getting this and changing it to that, we're going to get that and change it back to this. So we just want to make sure we can go back and forth either way. Okay, let's try a couple more of those. How about, let me see. 45L plus 15J. Now the letters don't match, so of course we can't divide that out, but we can look at 45 and 15 and say, okay, well, what number could both of those be divided by? Okay, 5. So let's take out a 5. So we're going to divide out the 5. We're going to put the 5 outside the parentheses, and we're going to divide 5 out of everything. So how many 5s are in 45? That's 9, and then put the L with it. And how many 5s in 15? 3J, and we're finished with that one. So whether I give you this or this, you should be able to switch back and forth. When you go this way, we're multiplying. When we go this way, we're dividing, because those are the two opposites. So let's just do one more of those. Let's say 12E plus 7E. Okay, now what thing should we divide out? Well, they both have the same letter E, right? So now the E goes on the outside of the parentheses, and we're going to divide out the E. So think about it. These two numbers have to be the same because they're the same letter. So anytime the numerator and the denominator are the same exact letter, it equals 1 whole. So this basically says 12 times 1, which is 12. And this says 7 times 1, so those cancel out, and there's a 7. Okay? Excellent job. So we did those Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then yesterday we worked on division. This was a much shorter lesson and not as complicated. But basically what we talked about yesterday was that fractions are division problems, which actually we've been talking about all year long. So we talked about all the different ways you could see a division problem. So we said you could see a division problem that looked like this, or you could see one that looks like this, or you could see one that looks like this. Now the clue to this is, remember, in division and subtraction, the numbers have to be in the correct order. So for division and subtraction, you can't just switch things around, because it doesn't work the same way. So if the A is first when you read across, then in the fraction, when you read from top to bottom, so the A has to be the numerator, and then the second number has to be the denominator. Well, when you get over here, the first number has to go inside the division bracket, and the second number goes on the outside. So let me show you the pattern. So you want to get your highlighter, because the pattern is to make sure you know where in the division problem that first number belongs. Okay? The first number is before the division sign. It's always in the numerator, and it's inside the bracket. So when we did this lesson yesterday and I graded your papers, you guys are good on these two, but about half of you got these backwards. So that's why I want you to color code it, so the colors remind you, oh yeah, that goes inside. Okay? And then the other thing we talked about yesterday was what those words were when you see the words. Okay? So the first number inside the bracket is the dividend. The number on the outside, or the second number, is the divisor. And the answer to a division problem, which goes up here, is the quotient. Okay? So make sure you have those in your notes because this will be on the quiz. Like I'm going to give you a division bracket and I'm going to show you the 3 words and I'll say put them where they belong. Okay? So make sure you have that written down. Afterwards, what you need to do then is go to IXL. There's one lesson. It's 2HH. And the lesson is on the distributive property. So you're going to be getting problems like this. Okay? So I'm going to show you one tricky thing they tried to pull on us, though. I saw a couple of problems that looked like this. Where they put the 3 in back of the parentheses instead of in the front. Now remember, the commutative property says you can switch the order around, right? So you're going to solve it just like you would. Otherwise, you're going to go 3 times 5 times A, then bring down the plus sign, and then 3 times 2 times B. So you solve it the same way. So don't let them try and trick your brain when they pull that stunt, okay? So that's your assignment today. What you need to make sure is that you have all of your notes for the quiz, and then I'll be checking your IXL lesson 2HH. That's it for me for today. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Bye.